Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gaming Lore channel. The Dark Knight job is one of the most popular job quest storylines in Final Fantasy XIV, and is one of the only times that your character's thoughts are really being heard. Your role, which is being silent and helping to save the world and every small problem you come across, doesn't give any introspection, and players who went through the Dark Knight story might not know that they got much more insight into their character than any other job. Dark Knights envelop themselves in the darkness that others fear, and help to guide others through it themselves. They aren't afraid of embracing the dark parts within them that everybody has. Just a quick heads up, there are some pretty heavy spoilers for the main story, so if you haven't played up to Shadowbringers, I'd suggest doing that first and coming back after. The start of your journey begins in Ishgard, after overhearing some people talk about the Temple Knights discarding a corpse. This person fought using some unusual methods, becoming enveloped in a mist, and your morbid curiosity leads you to find it in the broom. They hold a soul crystal in their hand, and when you reach out to touch it, you hear a voice while some mist begins to leave your body. You black out, and when you wake up, you see the corpse standing above you, introducing themselves as Frey. Before you investigate some nearby screaming, they offer to teach you about the voice you heard and how to use your darkness for the sake of others. You accept and investigate the screaming, quickly learning that Frey doesn't hold back their thoughts. You find the source of the screaming, a grandmother whose daughter has been taken by some temple knights. Frey explains that following the law will get you nowhere in this situation. To do what is right can make you enemies, and you'll have to kill them all to save the girl. Sure enough, you're successful, and Frey explains that being a Dark Knight involves embracing your negative emotions and letting them fuel your strength. Each time you meet with Frey involves another lesson, and with each one, you hear the voice a little more. Frey's outspoken nature becomes more noticeable as well, complaining every time someone asks for your help. Mocking the fact that as the Warrior of Light, you're everyone's problem solver. At one point, Frey has you kill some axe beaks and practically reads your mind when you report back saying, "You resent this, don't you? This pointless trial." When retrieving a traitor's good with Frey, the traitor demands that you pay for his loss in profits. Frey's outburst at him is harsh, but you find yourself starting to agree with them. "I should have left you all to drown in Leviathan's tidal wave. At least then I would have been spared your constant whining." After each of your encounters with Frey, you get more and more control of your darkness while hearing the voice from before. Serve, save, slave, slay are the words that resonate the most with you, almost feeling like that's all you've been doing. Like clockwork, you're approached by some knights one day, asking for your help. Like always, you follow, but Frey is tired of your willingness and inability to say no. You help the knights, just like you always do, just as you've always done for anyone who so much asks, but trouble starts to brew elsewhere. The knights ask you to come with them, as it seems people have been suspicious of your behavior lately. Word of you talking to corpses has gotten out, as well as other uncharacteristic traits. You follow the knights to Whitebrim, but as soon as you step into the city, Frey is already there, surrounded by unconscious knights. The ruse is up, and Frey asks that you stop pretending. You know what's been going on, and it's time to admit it. "Say my name. Say it. My real name. Our real name," they say, telling you to open your eyes. The Frey that you know has never been real. You just wanted a mentor, someone to make sense of the dark parts of you. They collapse to the floor, and from their body rises a perfect copy of yourself, your darkness in physical form. You defeat them, and they mock you one last time as what you think you really are. Warrior of Light? You are their weapon of light. Your surrounding comrades cheer you on, telling you that they won't ever abandon you. You accept your dark self into your soul, but they give you a fair warning that if you ever grow tired of keeping up this charade, they will be there to take control of you. All accounts of your behavior are wiped clean, or at least everyone's been ordered to not speak about what happened again. Not long after that encounter with your dark self, a temple knight asks for your help, but you can tell something is wrong right away. He can't even look you in the eyes, let alone ask you that you come with him somewhere. You follow anyway, and sure enough, he's led you to a trap with a group of other knights. It seems not everyone can forget what transpired with Frey, and you're still viewed as a heretic, an abomination. The knights are defeated without issue, with the last one shouting that he will never accept you as he runs away. A man in dark armor, lured by the noise, comes to investigate and recognizes your sword. The man introduces himself as Sidurgu, and he used to train alongside Frey with their master. You agree to meet with him later after telling him what happened to them. He presents you with the sword of the knight you spared, explaining that mercy goes against all he's known as a Dark Knight. To walk the path you're on, you'll often be seen as an outcast, a criminal even, for seeking justice the way you want to. He describes that mercy on your enemies leads them to just coming back for revenge, using his aura origins and the slaughter of his people as an example. While the two of you are speaking, you notice that you are being watched by a girl at his side. Rielle is her name, and Sid explains that he and Frey found her on the run from the Temple Knights. He doesn't know the reasons why they want her, but he and Frey quickly intervened and got separated. Sid and Rielle escaped and, well, you know what happened to Frey. From here, you and Sid agree to protect Rielle and find out why she's being hunted, all while Sid helps you with more training. You go to the Vanu healers and the Gridania conjurers, learning that Rielle has this innate spiritual power inside of her. One that is seen negatively by the Temple Knights because of the belief that it comes from drinking dragon blood. Rielle recalls being stuck in a cell with no other choice but to have what is given to her, wondering if that's how it all started. Before coming to conclusions though, Sid wants to absolutely make sure that she has an affinity to dragons, and asks you to go to the Drivanians themselves to find out. Speaking to a dying dragon, they recognize the essence of their companion inside Rielle. There's no mistaking it, the blood of a dragon courses through her veins. The dragon briefly mentions tiny beings that could help aid you, but quiets as Rielle processes everything. You return to Ishgard, but Sid is frustrated as he is still unable to do anything more for Rielle. In the midst of your discussion with him, you are interrupted by a woman named Istrid. She demands Rielle's fate be decided through combat, otherwise she has no issue burning the tavern you're in along with everyone inside it. From here, you learn more about Rielle's past. Istrid is her mother and locked her away after her husband was outed as a heretic. He had been drinking dragon blood for some time, transforming himself while on trial, and even attempted to kill Istrid. Before you and Sid can stand up to her and the rest of the Temple Knights, you travel to find the Mughals, the tiny beings that the dragon spoke of. Rielle and Sid argue while you're there, with her being frustrated by his selfish nature. In an attempt to control your emotions and your darkness more, the Mughals help you and Sid find the strongest emotion to fuel your strength: love. They bring Rielle and Sid closer, with him finally admitting that the feud with the Temple Knights has a lot more to do with his own personal agenda than he admitted, but his end goal is still to protect her at all costs. With the two closer than ever, you prepare yourselves for the fight with Istrid. She refers to Rielle as it, a creature, an abomination. You fight alongside Sid during the long battle, defeating knight after knight until Istrid can't fight any longer. Sid offers her mercy, but she claims that she will always come back. She will chase Rielle to the ends of the world until she is dead. Her devotion to her faith, her beliefs, remain strong. Misguided, but still strong. Rielle approaches her mother, telling her how much she had hoped for a different outcome. One where she could be accepted, loved, and cared for by her. She prays for her mother, no longer seeking forgiveness for what she had no control over. She prays, and Sid strikes Istrid down. You leave the battlefield and Sid reluctantly accepts that the Mughal were right. Using your negative emotions, your anger and hatred, they only make you stronger when you use them for someone else. They can roam Ishgard with far fewer worries thanks to you. You meet with them again after the events of Heavensward, distracted by all the events that had transpired recently, distracted by the thoughts of all of those that had died. You agree to walk with your friends at the last vigil, but can only think of the last time you were here. At that moment, you feel something from within yourself change. Your friends arrive just in time to see that your soul crystal has split in two, with the person responsible showing up to apologize. He introduces himself as Mist, explaining that he has a power that he needs ether to use. Ether that he has now taken from your crystal. Sid sympathizes with the boy, as Mist explains that he wants to heal the sadness of the world as much as he can. You give him your blessing to use it, and agree to help just 4 people who are in need of help. The first is a woman whose cousin you murdered, a knight of Heavensward. The second is a woman who poisoned you back at Falcon's Nest, now a prisoner in mourning of her husband. In both of these cases, Mist conjures up illusions of the deceased in hopes of helping them grieve. The woman, Millie, buys into the illusion, confronting her cousin's misdeeds and hoping that he is forgiven. The second woman, Laudy, sees through the illusion and takes no comfort in the lie in front of her. She sees you in a better light, now able to see that her hatred for you was misplaced. Why did her husband have to die in battle while you continue to survive? Eventually, Mist learns about Sid's grief for his former master, Sir Empagne, and creates another illusion. You learn about his history as a former temple knight, and after fighting him, he tells you all his reasoning for bringing up Frey and Sid. Before he walked the path of the Dark Knight, Empagne led men into battle for Ishgard. During times of war, countless of his men died, and after so many years, he started to forget the first person who ever gave their lives for him. To try to repent for the lives he was responsible for, he chose to abandon the Temple Knights and stand for what he believed in, raising 2 children to follow the same sense of justice as him to save as many lives as he lost. Before his illusion ends, he gives Sid some parting words. Be nicer to the girl, and try to be less of a chocobo's arse. With Sid's injuries too much for him to journey with you and Mist, Rielle stays behind with him while you both travel to search. You find Galleon, a man you made medicine for a long time ago. He shared it with a friend of his, and as they tried getting ready to go into battle, he was still unfit to go in before him. His friend went on without him, and ended up giving his life for the Griffin during the assault on Belzer's wall. Mist conjures up his friend, Hudar, and Galleon asks that he pays his respects to the others that have fallen. You agree to help Hudar, and he is in awe that you are willing to do so despite all that's happened. He explains that even the Griffin's men became uncertain of their actions once they found out that it was you that they were going up against. You spend your time defending this ghost of a man make his way to Stormblood to the Reach to pray for his comrades, but alas, the illusion doesn't make it the whole way there. You and Mist finish the journey and pay your respects, and as distraught as he is, he still wants to cleanse the world of sorrow and pain. The deal was to let Mist talk with 4 people and use the power of your soul crystal to help them, but before you can have your health back, he runs off. You, Sid, and Rielle all go in search of him, hearing reports of a boy extracting ether from any beast he can get it from. By the time you find him, Sid is on his knees and Rielle is unconscious. Mist plans to continue gaining ether from surrounding beasts to keep creating illusions and doesn't want to fight. He summons Istri to battle with you, as well as countless of the warrior of darkness that you've killed. Woe betide the man who stands opposed to the weapon of light, for death will be his reward. Mist continues to drive the idea that all you have done has led to death, that those that you have fought with have died, and there is nothing more than your sins that are left. When everything looks like it's become too overwhelming, you hear that familiar voice once more. Serve, save, slave, slay. I've sins aplenty, aye, but regrets? Not so much. Frey appears beside you, offering their help, and Sid gives them his sword. Mist's plans are falling apart and he begins to fall apart. You defeat every warrior of darkness that Mist conjures up until he has no either left. He falls to his knees, still incapable of understanding why he can't be forgiven. Why, no matter how much good he does, he feels the weight of those that have passed. Rielle speaks up, telling him that while death is a part of life, if there wasn't an end, then the time you have with everyone wouldn't be so precious. Obsessing over your mistakes only fuels despair, and forever mourning over those that are gone will result in neglecting those that are still around. Frey looks at Mist and tells him to listen carefully. I forgive you. Words that Mist has been waiting for so long to hear. Mist looks at you, finally free of his tears, and he says, in your darkest hour, in the blackest night, think of me, and I will be with you, always. For where else could I go? Who else could I love but you? With this, Frey and Mist walk forward together, and they both fade away. The Dark Knight job quest is all about self-reflection and forgiveness. As the Warrior of Light, our character is often voiceless. We don't get to see how the events of the main story affect you. Frey represented your frustrations and darkest emotions, giving a voice to the more occult thoughts that your character has. They wanted to be selfishly free from the responsibilities that being the Warrior of Light gives you, but ultimately you reject their idea and accept them. Mist represents our need to atone. Mist is our regret, our guilt for surviving when others have not. These people are of your own making, and their appearance is intentional. Frey, the person, is just the man that is tossed over the side by the Temple Knights. But Frey, our friend, is you. Mist's appearance is based on the younger Orshafon and is exactly who we are struggling to get over. At the end of your quest with Mist, you run into Count Edmond de Fortin, Orshafon's own father. It's a brief moment, but he talks to you as always, accepting you. In the final quest, you try to find the author of a letter written to you, thanking you for all that you've done for them. In trying to find the person who wrote it, you talk with several people who helped you on your way, either as a Dark Knight or as the Warrior of Light. You finally reach the author, the merchant you and Frey told off, and he explains that while he made mistakes, he's made something of himself. He claims that his success is all thanks to you changing his ways. He offers you a flower, if not for yourself, but for someone close to you, and you remember there's one thing you have to do. You travel back to Ishgard, overlooking the city and the snowy mountains, and you lay the flower down as you remember Frey. As the wind carries it away, you feel the darkness pouring out as you begin to hear them again, as you hear yourself again. Because that's all they ever wanted, was to be heard. Now, there's no need for them anymore, and in fact, there was never a need for them. Who you are, who they are, is all up to you, to be who you decide yourselves to be. I hope you guys enjoyed this wonderful story and are looking forward to the next one. If you'd like to find some more Final Fantasy videos, I have one up on my channel that you can find at youtube.com/Yorcia. You can also find me live on twitch.tv/Yorcia, soon to be on YouTube. And the video is about the role of the summons in Final Fantasy. Oh, and one more thing, if you haven't watched the first video about the warrior, please do that right now. And if you have, you're awesome. Thanks for your support. I'll see you next time.